one question that comes to my mind that is that you have spent around 2 decades in the industry working for big MNCs like Cognizant and then TCS, LTI, and of course a startup as well, right? So was there a kind of a special point in your life where you realize that this is not what I want to do? I mean, any particular situation, any particular thing, that inner calling that came into, or any particular kind of, what should I say, something coming from inside, or some incident happened that made you realize I cannot take this any longer, right? We know how corporate works. So anything like that, if you want to share?
Yeah, Sudip, I will tell that it was not a momentary decision, say. So, I mean, very honestly, we all know the corporate, the way it works, right? And when you become senior, that the kind of challenges, the kind of activities that you have to do are quite different from the days when you are, when you are young, right? So when we are young, we as engineers, we have more passion towards technology, learning new technologies, working hands-on in those technologies. So we have more aspirational alignment towards that. But as we grow more senior, and when we grow to the levels of associate director or director, I mean those kind of senior roles, it's more of like you are trying to chase some numbers. You're chasing a top line, you're chasing a bottom line, and kind of every year on year, that's what we keep on doing. Maybe the industry vertical that you're working in is different, or the technology horizon that you're working is different. But what remains constant is the chasing of numbers. So I would say that it was not a matter of one day or one particular incident. Slowly started having that feeling that what I'm doing day after day, year after year, is it what I want to do? Is it what I like to do? Right. So very honestly, that's where the thought started from. Every day had that one feeling that what did I learn during the day? What was that new thing that I didn't know before the day started and I know now? Most of the cases, the answer was no. Right? So that kind of started giving a uneasiness, so as to say. That, I mean, whether what I'm doing is worth doing. So that's where the thought triggered that whether I need to look for something different. And honestly, when I moved out of Cognizant, when I moved out of IT industry for the first time, I mean, it was not a very easy decision. I mean, a lot of factors that we thought about, right? And that the journey was also not very easy. I will talk more about that later on. But still, that thought that I need to do something more meaningful, something which keeps me going every day. I started thinking about that. One can be that option. There were few options that I thought about. Honestly, academics was not the first or the last option that I thought. There were other options that I also thought about. But then, since I belong to a family of academicians, my father is a professor. He used to be a professor in a college. My uncle was a professor. So there are, I mean, many professors and teachers in my family. So probably that's one thing which triggered the thought that probably in my DNA also, that's the other thing which is there, which I can go for. So that's kind of, it was like a process. It was not a single incident. It was not one fine day that I thought about it, but it was a process which I thought through over months, over years, and then finally to.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. You chose like academia, but for an ordinary man, right? Maybe you are coming from, you had a family background of teaching and coaching and academia and all that, right? But for a common man, right, who does not have any kind of background like that, right? And he is also disillusioned by chasing numbers day in and day out, like you said, right? It's top line, bottom line, revenue, profit, right? And nothing new to learn every day rather than chasing some arbitrary numbers which you are not also set by someone else much, much higher up with some other goals you are not even aware of, right? So
That's it.
how does someone then make a transition? Any advices for them as to how they can take a path like you? Maybe not into academia, maybe some other area. Like, what is the framework that they should follow, kind of thing?
See, again, I can talk more about academia because that is the journey I have already traversed. But for any career path, I mean, whatever alternate path we are thinking about, we need to think about multiple factors. The first and foremost factors are the financials. Obviously, every one of us have a family to run. So there needs to be kind of a alignment which needs to happen. And whichever profession you are moving to, that needs to support the financial needs of the family that you are running. So that's the first thing. The second most important thing is you are moving to a new profession or a new journey. You need to be very, very sure that that is what you want to do. You need to talk with multiple people who have gone through that path. Like, for example, if someone wants to transition to academia, somebody like me definitely can speak out from experience. What are the things which I've gone? What are the things to be done? What are the things not to be done? So that kind of a dialogue and discussion should happen to be double sure that this is the path I want to follow. There are multiple options. So I will tell you. Like one of the career options is going for a startup. Right? You can start your own venture. In that case, the first thing that you need to think about that where is the demand that is going to come from? You're going to start selling some product or solution, or you are going to sell some service. Who are going to be the buyers for those services or products? Do you have a good network which can provide those kind of stakeholders to support your business venture? If you're going for products or solutions, you need to be very sure that that particular product or solution has a good viability in the market, not only now, but also in the future. Okay. So that has to be very, very clearly worked out. So again, you need to be clear about what you want to do. And when you are trying to do that, you have a good support system to sustain that transition. Right. I would tell in my situation, there was one advantage that I had. The first and foremost thing was my wife was a worker. Right. So there was a safety net that I had. Right. So that even during the initial years, there are certain ups and downs, certain challenges. So there is somebody in the family who can act as this safety net. So that is a huge comfort. So again, the other thing that I thought about is, do I like teaching? Do I love teaching? Do I love coaching the students? I mean, after spending so many years in the client discussions, in the busy meetings, can I get myself acclimatized into the classroom? Can I come with the same wavelength of mind with the students? They are like 20, 25 years junior to me. Can I match their wavelength? So there are a lot of questions that I had to ask myself, right? So I think those are the things that people need to look at. I mean, how they sustain the basic livelihood, the profession they are going to switch to, whether that can, emotionally and intellectually satisfy the basic need for which they are making the change. So I think those are the things that we need to think about before you take that shoe.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you need to be very honest with those answers, right? I mean, you cannot just think that, okay, chal jayega, ho jayega, and it will happen. Okay, let's see, let's give it a try. And then that cannot happen, right? You have to be very, very honest that, okay, this is what it is, and you have to take it. Maybe you will face rainy days, you will have tough challenges because you are coming from a background where you are a director of a company, right? And you have a certain lifestyle, right? You have kids at home, you have mouths to feed, you have old parents at home, and that is where your honesty becomes very, very important in taking those kinds of decisions, right?
Yeah, more than honesty, it's like more of pragmatism. You need to be very pragmatic. That some of the things, they may sound to be very, very fancy, very romantic, but actually, when you are dealing with reality, you need to be very pragmatic. These are the 10 things that I need to support. Whether the new career that I'm moving to or the new path I'm traversing towards, it's going to ensure that at least those 10 things are working fine, right? So that's definitely something you have to be very, very pragmatic.
Right. And one more thing, right? You maintained a certain lifestyle, right? And maybe initially when you switch over, you may not be able to maintain that kind of a lifestyle. You may need to switch down a little bit. Maybe it will again recover over a period of time, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You will again reach that level. But initially, like making a adjustment with self, first of all, that I'll not be able to maintain that kind of a lifestyle, and also the people around you, your support system, they also need to be very, very aware that okay, this lifestyle cannot be maintained for certain period of time. Maybe you'll get back, bounce back, but that needs to also happen, right?
Absolutely. And Sudip, you touched upon a very important point. More important than you yourself is the family around. How much supportive they are with the aspiration of with the new changed course that you are moving towards. How much they can adjust, because they also need to have make a lot of adjustments. And specifically when you move to a career like academics, and all of us know that academics is definitely not as rewarding financially a career as something that we have in IT world, right? I mean, a senior executive in IT world, definitely financially they are much well covered than somebody senior in academics, right? Your family also needs to be very much okay with that change in lifestyle. There has to be compromises. There has to be some of the foreign trips, foreign vacations which have to be cut. Right? I mean, no doubt about that. So they also need to be very, very clear that they are supporting you and they don't have any, what should I say, emotional setback when you make that decision. So that's very, very
To watch the full conversation, click on the link in the comments below.